Welcome, Tuomas, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Wolfheart, this new album, King of the North, and more things related to the metal world. Starting with a question, how have you been during these crazy times? First started a pandemic 2 years ago. Well, you released your previous album in 2020 when the pandemic started. Now you are releasing a new album when the pandemic, I think, is ending. So who knows? But the rarity of the weird thing to this year is the war, Ukraine and Russia. And who knows what happened next couple of years? Alien invasion, the apocalypse. That's very difficult. It's a very crazy word nowadays.
Crazy is a good word. I really thought now things are getting better. Last March, they are lifting the restrictions. Touring is coming back, and boom, then the war started. In Ukraine, of course, we have a long border with Russia, and the whole situation is affecting hugely on the economics and the energy and everything in Europe. So, yeah, I don't know what to think about next year, if it's going to get worse or better, or it's crazy is a good word. Yeah. I'm just going day by day, and I don't want to stress too much about it because nothing I can do about it, but crazy times indeed.
Yes. So, can we say that this King of the North was composed and written and recorded also during this the pandemic? Yeah. Or perhaps you had the ideas before?
I had the idea already when we were releasing the previous album that was focused only on the winter war between Finland and Russia back in the 1940, 1941. And I already knew that next album has to be based on nature and the deeper history of Nordic countries and Finland. So the pandemic didn't have any a part of choosing the topic of the album.
Okay. And why did you decide to put the name of the album well, I think the common name nowadays, because we have a Viking serials, we have a story serials about the Vikings, sorry. So what the name Kings of the North?
It's based on Finnish mythology, and back in the days, the king was the bear, because that was the apex predator of the woods. Without the modern technology and weapons, you don't go and fight a bear. It was very honored, godlike figure for the people in Nordic countries, feared also naturally. So it was very a mythical creature. It was believed to be the ancestor of men. It was born from the stars. There's still this the bear constellation in the star map. So it was a huge thing back in the days in the mythology. So that is the king. The king is not us. There's no human king in the Nordic mythology. It was the bear.
Okay. Now, what are the main differences that this album has compared to the Wolves of Karelia? Because Wolves of Karelia was released 2 years ago, and now King of the North is 2 years later. So, for you, what is the biggest difference? Because when I hear this King of the North, more melancholic and melodic than the previous one.
Yeah, that was a clear decision. Also, I wanted to go more in the direction of our debut album called The Winterborn, that was also very much nature inspired. And when you have a clear topic of an album, if it's a war or nature, whatever it is, but when you have a clear topic that covers the whole album, that will affect the songwriting also, because then you are writing to certain direction. And with Finnish nature and mythology and everything is this kind of war theme with a lot of blast beats and more straightforward stuff. Just didn't fit. I wanted the music to be more Nordic, like what Nordic nature looks like. That's what I wanted the music to sound. So that's the reason why it became more melodic and also melancholic, because Nordic people are melancholic. That's just in our DNA. I think Finnish people more than rest. That's why Finnish metal bands tend to do very depressive and sad music, Swallow the Sun, Sentence, Amorphis. There's certain melancholy in the Nordic genes.
Yes. Especially if we compare this melodic death metal from Swedish death metal for you, well, especially for me, the more addictive theme into the melodic death metal from Finland is all the time a gray area, melancholic parts, more melodic. but compared with the Swedish scene is more strong in some parts.
Yeah.
So for you, and talking about this, which are the big difference has the melodic death metal from Finland from Swedish?
Well, Swedish bands came up with the whole Gothenburg scene with At the Gates and Dark Tranquility. So they kind of shape this certain way of melodic death metal completely. It's very like a riff driven, very like a lot of energy, but still a lot of melody. But they have melodies in a different way. A lot of their melodies are in the riffs. If you like listen to like older In Flames, for example, the riffs are the melodic element, and they have the harmonies in the riffs. So when you go to Finnish bands like Swallow the Sun, Insomnium is a good example. They have lead guitars bringing the melody, so it's a different layer of melody also in the music. And I guess the Swedish is there's a different kind of energy completely. It's more like when Finnish melodic death metal is more melancholic, there's more energy, it's more aggressive. The Swedish one is more straightforward compared to the Finnish one.
Okay.
But as a Finnish person, I'm obligated to say that since I'm a Finnish person, that of course Finnish music, the biggest difference is that our music is better. Because Finland, Sweden, we have this history of fighting about everything when it comes to ice hockey or music or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, but now we are living in a time, well, especially talking about people of 15 or 20 years or 25 years old, they love to hear the music with one song. So
Yeah.
if we try to relate these aspects, which songs for you represent all concept from this King of the North? Talking about for the new generation, which single, perhaps not the actual single that you released, perhaps it's other song that is not in the singles areas, perhaps it's another one, because it's Desolate Land, Fires of the Fallen, who knows?
Cold Flame. That's going to be the third single. It's going to be out in 1.5 weeks. That would be the best one to like represent the whole album. But what you mentioned is correct. Especially the young people are more like the Spotify generation. That the songs are on the playlist is more like single releases. But I'm from the 80s. I grew up listening albums, and to me it's important to hear the whole album. The album represents the album. There's the whole way of drama from the first track to the last one, how you build up it with the song order and track list. So it's a little bit difficult for me to adjust myself to this new way of like consuming music, because to me album is an album. It's not just a compilation of singles. But that's just the modern age. I'm getting older, and the scene is changing, so I have to change.
Yeah. Well, since the beginning, Wolfheart started with by released by your Winterborn released by yourself. Then the album was released by Spinefarm Records. Then the next one, Just Shadows of Fall, is the same with Spinefarm Records. And 3 albums were released. So you are always in the top labels, because Spinefarm Records sometimes wasn't the biggest labels there. And now you are Napalm Records, one of the biggest labels around the world, because no bands are in there. So how you mean your transitions to Spinefarm Records to Napalm Records, and how was the work until today with Napalm?
The Spinefarm went really easy and smooth because I already had few of my previous bands working with Spinefarm. And I have a really long background of like releasing albums in Finland also. So I had a really like a easy contact with the Spinefarm, and I did release the first album by myself in the beginning, and it went really well. So that also got the attention of Spinefarm. But naturally, Napalm is a lot bigger. They have a strong office also in North America. And until I signed the deal with Napalm, I never had an album released in North America, which started to get frustrating. I already at that point released 14 albums. And I never got to tour in North America. I never had a proper release in North America. And that's North America plays a huge part in the whole music scene, naturally, in general. So I kind of started feeling like I was stuck. I was stuck in Europe. I was stuck in Scandinavia, and yeah, Napalm was a really big step forward, and it went also super easy. They started sending me emails, like checking like when are we done with Spine Farm? They would like to like do a deal, but they had to wait for like 2.5 years because we still had the contract with the Spine Farm. So they were already like on the background waiting. So when the Spine Farm deal was done, it was just one email, and then we changed the labels. So it was super smooth and easy for me.
Okay. So I think the next question is one that a lot of reviewers, a lot of interviewers asked you. What are you decide to bring back before the dawn? Because last year, I think this is a common question now because
that is the most common question so far on, which is funny. Like it's in a good way, but it's funny that it's the most common question in every Wolfheart interview.
Yeah.
But it's it's a story, yeah. Like their pandemic plays a huge part. Like we lost Juho, the guitar player of Before the Dawn. He plays in Swallow the Sun nowadays, and we lost all the tours, calendar completely empty. And at the same time, the Finnish label that used to be the label of Before the Dawn just asked like would be interested of doing this vinyl release of the album called Deadlight. And we thought like this is a really cool idea that we never had those albums released on vinyl. So that would be probably cool. And we started talking about the what kind of like a cover graphic and everything there's going to be. And then we just opened up the question like, what if we do one bonus song? Like what would be, like, we haven't done music together in 10 years. What if we do just one song? Like we can do songs, like let's see how things, if the chemistry works out and everything. Now we have the time. Yeah, we started talking about the graphics and everything, and started working with the song, and it kind of like started to feel like back in the days. But yeah, we really liked the song, and it felt like nothing happened between 10 years. Like it feels the same. It feels supernatural. Like and the label, everything worked well. It didn't work well 10 years ago. That was one of the reasons we stopped the band, and now it seemed like all the reasons are gone. Things are fun again. The album came out, it went to #1 in Finnish charts. And of course, we started thinking like we could do more songs. We just did one, it went really well. So why don't we just see how it goes? And we did one festival show, it went really well. So it just happened on its own. Because yeah, one thing, but we did talk with Juho. Then after, when the first song was done, we realized like this is fun. It's still fun. After 10 years of break, this is fun. And everything sucks. Like everything is canceled, everything sucks, everything is going to hell. So let's do something that is fun. Instead of like just sitting home, like feeling bad about the tours and feeling bad about everything. If this is fun, let's do it. Let's do fun things, and let's not think anything like too much about it. If it's fun, it's a good thing. Let's do good things when everything else is fucked up. So it became one of the best things during the pandemic to be able to work Before the Dawn again with so many times. So that's like there was no plan, there was no nothing. It just felt right, and we started doing it, and now it's happening.
Okay. So with this, we will see another album from Before the Dawn, perhaps next year.
Yeah, we are recording the album already, so it's and there's a new single that will like launch the whole Before the Dawn comeback next week, actually.
Oh, great to know.
There is some big changes also. There is some big changes coming up also, but everybody who is aware of the history of the band knows that there has been changes before, and what we call this is going to be Before the Dawn version 4.
Okay, and one question that I want to ask you, because you're playing in 3 important bands into the melodic death metal in Finland, because you play Dawn of Solace, Before the Dawn now, and Wolfheart. So how you difference the content into there? Because the 3 bands playing melodic death metal, melodic death metal. This is the same approach of these three bands. So for you, how do you decide which riff's going to Before the Dawn, which riff going to the Dawn of Solace, and which riff goes to Wolfheart? Because sometimes it's very difficult to repeat by yourself, because you have the same elements, you are this one of composer in these three bands, so it's very difficult sometimes. So how do you separate your ideas for these three bands?
I only work one album at the time. Like when I start writing an album for Wolfheart, then I don't do any other songs to anybody else until that album is like completely written. So because if you divide music into small pieces, a lot of like I could hide any Rammstein riff to Wolfheart song. It would fit in the middle if you just look at the music as a building blocks. But it's more important for me to make an album that has a very solid like a mood and an emotion and energy. So I never work with the several bands at the same time. I think that would be problematic if I would just make 20 songs and start like choosing this is going to go to Before the Dawn, this is going to go to Dawn of Solace. Then that would be a bad plan. So it's always one album at a time, and when that is done, then I move to the next band if I feel like. There's also not that much of a planning. It may seem like I have a very clear plans, but it always goes the same way. I write one song, and that triggers the whole process. I start imagining the whole album in my head, and then I write the album on top of that one song. And if that happens like next week, that I come up with this Doomier song that in my head sounds like Dawn of Solace, I start immediately thinking about the next album and start writing on base of that. So
okay. Well, as I told you in the first question, we'll talk about other matters. And when I usually saw about the best albums or the best bands from the melodic death metal around the world, usually especially Decibel, Loud Sound, these American mainstream magazines, they always talk about the Swedish scene, and sometimes included American man like the Black Dahlia Murder, All Shall Perish. But what do you think the bands from Finland fits into this kind of list from Decibel, Louder Sound, Metal Hammer? What do you think about this? Because for me, the Finland is more bigger than the Americans is seen into the melodic metal. You are Wolfheart, you have Before the Dawn, more Principium Est, Insomnia, big bands more bigger than Black Dahlia Murder.
I don't really pay attention that much because it's sometimes Amorphis does well on those lists, and there's some Finnish represented, but every media has their own favorites anyway. So it's and it's usually one or two persons who make those lists. It's very like it looks like a very like dominant thing when a big magazine like puts like 10 melodic death metal albums top 10, but probably it's one guy who just put his favorites there. It doesn't mean that those are actually better than others. So I try not to pay attention because that doesn't. You are a good example. Every listener has their own like top 10 list. The magazine is just one out of million music listener, but he just has the opportunity to represent that list to a bigger audience. But it doesn't mean that in metal scene or in anywhere anybody else would agree exactly. So I would never want to like have a goal to be able to like that would fulfill my career to be in one of those lists because that's just one person. It's
okay. Well, yes, you have right, because depends of the taste of the person he did the list. But depends on. So according to your history, I see that the Wolfheart released always all the time full length from the Winterborn to the Skin of the North, and just one EP, then full of singles. So why do you decide to always release albums and not EPs, no live version, no splits? Because I think the splits move into the underground much better than the full length.
But that's again because I'm old school. I don't see music as individual songs. EP is complicated already to me because the EP doesn't have enough material to make it's just too small for an album in my head. It's and I enjoy more the process also writing, because I have 40 to 50 minutes to create music to this different like this topic that I'm writing about, but EP is just max 5 songs. It's it's just too short for me. It would be better nowadays to release even more often and do smaller releases, but then again I need to be able to work with my own terms. I need to do it in a way that I enjoy it the most, otherwise it doesn't matter what I do. If I just follow the music business or the label and what they are like recommending, I think that would be wrong. I understand that how the business works, but I need to work my way as a songwriter also.
Okay. So we are very close to this interview. And what are the future plans that the band has for this King of the North? Perhaps North American tour next coming years, perhaps a European tour, perhaps more video clips upcoming, or who knows, in the coming future, a Latin American tour. Who knows?
Well, there's a lot of plans in the table. We're going to do a European tour in October. Then we're going to do like these weekend trips, Greek, Turkey, and stuff like that in November, December. We already confirmed North American tour for beginning of next year. We are working with the second European tour at the moment. But all the agencies are booking festivals to Finland and Europe, and I know that our management is already working with Latin American, like South American tour. So we try to like do all the continents and places that we did before the pandemic. We did 140 gigs in 10 months, Asia, Europe, North America, South America. And now we want to do all of those again with this new album, because we lost already 1 album in 2 years.
Yeah.
So now we have to catch up. So like all our schedule are based on that we're going to do as much tours as possible.
Okay. Well, Tuomas, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one as I did. Really appreciate your time to answer these questions. So congratulations for the last one. It's a great one as usually. Perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and Metallerium followers?
Just wait a little bit longer. We're going to be back. We were supposed to be back already, but the world got fucked up. But now that things are hopefully getting better, we're definitely coming back.